I let flat earthers talk to the head of NASA. Chat, I love flat earthers. I think it's so fascinating that people can have this dumb idea that has been disproven for hundreds of years and they still think it's real. This is fascinating to me, chat. Fascinating. So I'm curious, man. I'm curious. This is a little bit different of a reaction video for us, but I think it'll be a good one. Guys, really quick disclaimer. If make sure at some point to support Jack Gordon for making this video. Real original creds for the video goes to Jack Gordon. If I ever react to anything and you're a creator that I react to and you don't want me to react to your stuff, please reach out to me. All right? I'm kind of at a point in my streaming career where I'm not big enough to like ask these people individually, but I just want them to know if you don't fuck with it, you let me know. I'll cut it out of the VOD. I'll take it off of my VOD channel, whatever you need. I'm not trying to step on any toes, but hopefully you look at this as like a way to get your brand exposed to some new people. All right, chat? Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, I haven't.
Head of NASA, something that this is me showing the head of NASA something that the leader of the Flat Earth Society sent me.
Obviously, I see that. I'm like, I don't want to show that to you, but here I am. I guess I'm doing it. You're the head of NASA. What's going on?
Because using my connections with both the scientific geniuses and conspiracy theorists of the world, I'm allowing flat earthers to get their conspiracies answered by the head of NASA himself, Jared Isaacman.
I think the other part to it that's crazy, and sorry, I was just laughing because he has them all in his phone as like flat earther Christian, flat earth like Matt or whatever. The other part to it is like people treat flat earth belief as like a religion, and that fascinates me. Like, what do you mean you thinking that the world is a way that has been disproven for hundreds of years? That is your whole personality trait. Like, you genuinely don't have anything interesting going on in your life that, like, you cannot, like, tie. Like, I tie myself to being a streamer. I think that's interesting. I think that's, like, way cooler than being like, yeah, I think the earth is flat. You know?
The man who led the first ever SpaceX mission, performed the first spacewalk ever by a civilian, and now that he's the head of NASA, promises to return America to the moon in the next 2 years. And the first conspiracy flat earthers wanted addressed was the original moon landings.
If you look at Apollo 9, 11, and 12,
9/11?
It's the same picture. The clouds never changed.
And Jared was prepared to defend them.
I thought I'd bring a couple artifacts.
Ooh.
I'm Jared.
Yes. Nice to officially meet you, Jack.
Nice to meet you as well. That is the boot that left the last footprint on the moon, Gene Cernan,
Damn.
on Apollo 17. And that's the rock he brought back with Harrison Jack Schmitt.
Goodness, that's crazy.
Look, we absolutely did it, but I'm not like the kind of person, like dismissive of the concerns. I get it. We haven't been back in more than a half century. Like, I understand that people are skeptical, and especially like generations now that grew up with everything in high definition video. Like, why is it so hard? And the answer is, look, we had 4.5% of discretionary budget. We had a great rival in the Soviet Union. It was a space race. It was another battleground of the Cold War. I get it, you know. Right now we're 0.25% of the discretionary budget, and we were doing a lot of things to make everybody happy, other than maybe necessarily the most important things we need to do as a space agency.
I mean, also call me crazy, chat, but I feel like we did the thing that we needed to do, and like there was no point to like going to the moon that needed like further exploration. Like, call me crazy for that. But like, to me, it was more of like, okay, we did this thing. It was really hard. It's still very risky. Why would we keep doing that when we can improve technology and like focus on other things that are much more important than just like going to the moon was just a dick measuring competition, from my understanding. And who knows, maybe there's stuff that we don't know. All right. Don't trust your government. But like, to me, it was mostly just a dick measuring competition of who could put their damn flag on the moon first. Still cool. Still cool. I don't think that's a good justification for like, well, we haven't been there in 50 years, so clearly it's fake. Like, come on, bro. I feel like you should just be able to logic that out. By the way, chat, let me know if the audio gets off sync, okay? It should be fixed now, but in case it's not, let me know.
which is to continue to venture out there, for all we stand to learn, all we stand to gain from scientific potential, economic potential, national security. This is what we are supposed to do, and we're getting back on that foot.
I'm in a lot of Ubers in like Arkansas, filming some random video. And you know, they'll ask me what I do, I'll bring up space and science, and they'll go, you really think they went to the moon? You know, and it's crazy. There was recently a survey that said 30% of Americans are unsure or don't think that the US landed on the moon. That is crazy to me.
Right, so, you know, that boot over there was worn by Gene Cernan.
Can I pick it up?
Please, please.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my
is
God.
terrible.
Dude, can you imagine? Can you imagine like breaking some shit like that? Oh my God. Oh my God. Sorry, Sarby. It really wasn't a lot of our modern tech. What? Sorry, Sarby. It really wasn't. What, Media Master? You need better grammar before you challenge me, because your whole sentence doesn't make any sense. I actually agree. I think it's a waste of resources and money at a time when we have much. No, for real. Like, they gathered the samples that they need. Why do they need to go back? Like, I'm really confused, Media Master. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, if anything, you kind of proved my point with your terribly written chat.
Terrifying. Okay.
But the flat earthers wanted to know if the moon landing really was real.
You couldn't just put us back on the moon like one time, like.
Right.
Why did they never go back?
So to be very clear, like NASA knows how to do this, right? I mean, we did it in the 1960s. We knew absolutely nothing about human space exploration, right? And from the time that Alan Shepard went up for his suborbital, spent minutes in space to Neil and Buzz walking on the moon, you're talking about 8 years. We can do the near impossible at NASA. What's happened though, absent competition, is you kind of get comfortable and you try and make everybody happy, and you have a lot of stakeholders. A lot of people love NASA, but they don't really necessarily agree on what is the right direction that we should always be going on. And as a result, we spread ourselves thin and we started to move very slowly, trying to appease everyone. And the end result is you actually don't make anyone happy when you try and do it that way. Now, one of the obligations I see in my my job here at NASA is to get all the stakeholders together and communicate kind of the reality of the situation and get everybody aligned in the direction we need to go. So I think.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand everything that he's saying. Number one, it feels very like polished how like a PR trained CEO is supposed to talk about their company. Also, something I don't love hearing, which I get, but NASA is supposed to be this like government run thing. And for him to talk about stakeholders is kind of like, bruh. Sarby, would you ever go into space? Probably not. I just don't care. It's similar to like skydiving. Like, I'm sure it's cool. People say it's an awesome experience. I don't see the point in doing it because it's a huge risk on your life that it's just, unless I had to go to space for some reason, I'd do it if I had to. But other than that, there's just no point, man. There's just no point. Some politicians are acting like they're in a who has the bigger dick competition, no matter the subject. No, that's fair. And they're also in the game of when you get asked a question, you have to answer the question, but not really. You have to make them feel like you answered the question, but if you break it down, they don't. Which I'm not saying that's what he's doing here, but that just felt very PR trained, bureaucratic answer.
We've been very effective at communicating there is another space race. If we do nothing and it's a continuation of the status quo, we will lose. That will be a heavy moment for, I think, the world. When you see the next lander on the moon, and it's not going to be the grainy footage of the night suit. It's going to be pretty crystal clear. And then you see an astronaut going down the ladder or elevator, and it's a Chinese technonaut. I think that sends a message that something is broken. So we can either wait for that moment to happen and then wonder what we could have done differently, or we could start doing things differently now. And
imagine if we just collaborated. I get what he's saying, and I understand pride in country, but I feel like going to the moon should surpass this we have to make it there before the Chinese or else there's something wrong with America. It's bro, can we just can we get together for fucking one thing? Why can we get together for something that's dumb? And listen, if you like football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, do your thing, bro. Do your thing. I get it. But why do we and I understand actually now that it's competitive or whatnot, but we can all get behind this thing and make it want to happen and support it. It's bro, if there's one thing that we should be maybe putting a little support into. It's like exploration outside of our planet, and that should be collaborative. Like, if it weren't a dick measuring competition, imagine how much further ahead we would be.
The result, I think our stakeholders have been very responsive and willing to let NASA get back to doing what we know works. And that's why I think you're starting to see some speed, some momentum, and some energy here at NASA.
Let's move on to the next conspiracy flat earthers wanted addressed. NASA's crazy money use. Do they really need to spend $23 million on a toilet, or is that money going somewhere else?
Somebody sent me this, right? It's like we've got this yacht, and we've got an expensive house, and we've got the toilet for $23 million.
23 wanted addressed. NASA's crazy money use. Do they really need to spend $23 million on a toilet, or is that money going somewhere else?
Somebody sent me this.
That
right?
looks like the most uncomfortable. Wait, sorry. That Bro, is that shit like suctioning out your shit? Not Fartimus. Bro, that looks so uncomfortable. Like, where, respectfully, sorry, I'm getting a little crass here, but like, where do your cheeks go, bro? Oh shit, I didn't even see Fartimus on the screen. I read one of your chats. Is this fake or something? Like, how does this work? $23 million and they couldn't have made it more comfortable? I'm so curious now. I want to know how this thing works, man.
$3 million on a toilet, or is that money going somewhere else?
Somebody sent me this, right? It's like we've got this yacht, and we've got an expensive house, and we've got the toilet for $23 million. You know what I mean? And obviously I see that, I'm like, I don't want to show that to you, but here I am, I guess I'm doing it. What do you say to things like that? Like, what can NASA do to make things cheaper, you know?
Well, I would say first,
But before I can show you his answer, I want to prove to you why he knows what he's talking about in this area.
Let's go into
Okay, wait, just really quick. That argument to me sounds so fucking stupid. Like, hold on. How much are F1 cards to build? Isn't it outrageous how much each one is? Yeah, a modern Formula 1 car costs 15 million to 20 million to build. Sorry, and I'm using the AI overview here, but like, I'm sure right over here, like, today I learned a modern Formula 1 car costs over 20 million to build, with almost 90% of the cost being the engine. Sorry, it's just an easy right there, whatever. Like, to me, bro, this is just a dumb argument. Like, dude, we're sending people to space where they're gonna be long term, where they're gonna have to shit. Obviously, we're gonna have to spend some money on things that would normally be a lot cheaper, but it has to be figured out because they're in space. Like, you know? No, guys, I'm not into Formula 1. This was an example that I knew for a fact because I've heard this before. That like Formula 1 cars are so expensive. Like a $20 million car is fucking insane. So like, don't get me wrong, is $23 million a lot? Yeah, but like, it makes sense when you're building a one-of-a-kind toilet that needs to operate in a place that humans go to like 0.01% of the time of their time on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if there's any government agency that I'm kind of like, hey man, we can be a little less strict about what they're spending their money on, don't get me wrong, keep them audited or whatever. But like, you tell me that NASA's spending $23 million on building a toilet that works in space, I kind of get it. Most of the money isn't even going into the research, or excuse me, isn't even going in the material. It's going into the research to make sure it works in space. Exactly. You think they just whip this up in one go? You don't think that the engineers needed who are smart enough to figure out how to fucking poop in space are cheap? I don't know about y'all, but I don't want the astronauts risking their lives to go into space and be little shitty boys and girls. All right? I want them to have a working toilet. If they got to spend $23 million for that, then they got to spend $23 million for that. That's just how it works.
Do a little bit of like who you are.
Yeah, so I left school at 16 because I hated high school. Started a tech company, which was really just to pay for, pizza and maybe beer on the weekends. Waking up on my keyboard and needed a hobby in life. So I guess 6 years ago or so, I started flying airplanes. Never slowed down. It took me to air shows, world record flights, and then eventually we created this defense aerospace company.
So you gave our military planes to use as simulations.
We didn't give them to, we flew them, so it was us.
Oh, you flew them, so they would contract you to fly them.
Yes, and we did all day long.
You fly yourself places.
Oh, 100%. I fly business jets, I fly fighter jets. I'm gonna lead a formation of like NASA aircraft over for the 4th of July Capitol flyover. Like I definitely try and stay in the action. And then got an opportunity to lead the first SpaceX mission, and then again in 2024, we did a spacewalk. Now I'm here and I'm working alongside the best and brightest at NASA.
What can NASA do to make things cheaper,
Well, I would say first, NASA, when we're at our best, we are setting our sights on, the most challenging engineering problems possible to solve. And that is typically expensive. It requires like the best and brightest from across the nation. It requires, hardware that's never been built before, facilities to make the hardware that don't exist, testing centers that don't exist. Yes, that's all extremely expensive. Now, what I think is extremely important is when we do have a major breakthrough, where that capability can be handed off to industry and NASA becomes one customer of many, like launch. Nobody had a reason to put a lot of
Industries are SpaceX, Blue Origin, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, etc. Okay, so they're basically, they're just talking about contractors.
stuff in space before
Which,
NASA,
by the way, makes sense, y'all. Like, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but my big in my fraternity worked for NASA for a couple years. Now he went and got his MBA or whatever. I've gotten to like tour NASA. It's really cool. He's given me like the inside, not necessarily knowledge, but scoop on like how NASA works and whatnot. And like a lot of times they'll hire contractors. And on the flip side of that, then my little in my fraternity, he works for one of those big companies that gets contracted by NASA. So it was really fun. They actually both worked at NASA kind of, but like my little was like working at a company contracted by NASA, which by the way makes way more money for any of y'all who are planning on becoming aerospace engineers. Don't work directly for NASA, work for a contractor of NASA, cough, cough, wink, wink. You'll make way more money because NASA's paid for by you're like a government employee or whatever. So it takes a while to like make more money in NASA. Just a little cough, cough, wink, wink, tip for you. But like, that's how most of it works, right? Because like, I think that also goes into like, the government employees aren't necessarily going to be the best, the brightest. They're probably going to be more like the passionate. The actual like best and brightest are going to those contractors to be paid a lot of money. So like, I think that's what he's trying to explain here is like, they have to pay a lot of money to get the best and the brightest, which makes sense because they're sending people to fucking space. Very, very interesting.
1960s. But now,
Last thing I'll say here before I start again. The last thing you want to cut corners on is that. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't audit government companies and keep track of what they're spending money on at all. What I will say is like at a company that size, I can understand how like if someone is paid to audit what NASA is spending money on, if they don't have the expertise to know how important everything NASA is spending their money on, they're kind of not useful. And I think that's really hard, right? It's really hard to send in an auditor who can look at like, okay, $23 million going to a toilet. It's like, how much do we need that $23 million in terms of the engineers we're paying for? Like, if these are the best and the brightest, like, yeah, we should spend $23 million on it. But they might not know that, like, hey, in order to figure out how to properly shit in space, you need the best and the brightest. And you don't just get the best and the brightest anywhere. You have to go to this company. But, like, a regular auditor who's doing that on top of other things in NASA aren't going to know that. So that's, like, a big problem. I'm not trying to advocate for them. But, that, like, I understand how that's a big problem in terms of, like, overspending in such a big company with a big operation.
I mean, you've got
SpaceX and Blue Origin can only exist because of what NASA's done.
And now for sure, NASA's a customer, the Department of War is a customer, the intelligence community is a customer, commercial entities are customers, international customers.
He's such a boner, bro. Look at him.
The Department of War is a customer.
He said, like, look at him, bro. He's just a really rich Discord mod. That's it, man. Wait, his shirt says Nuke Mars? That's not... And they're in a professional setting. I'm confused, man. This dude is genuinely, I think he's just a walking rage bait. I think that's all he cares about. He just wants to be a walking rage bait. God.
The intelligence community's customer, commercial entities are customers, international customers, other nations launch scientific probes and commercial payloads. Great, you hand off launch to industry, and what happens? Costs come down big time because competitive forces do what they do, and the next thing you know, you got rockets landing on ships, and they're being used over and over again, or now being caught by towers. So that's what you're supposed to do, and then NASA's supposed to, again, recalibrate to do what industry can, which is why we're building nuclear-powered spaceships. As talented and as capable as SpaceX and Blue Origin are and others in industry, I don't think they should be launching fission reactors anytime soon. I don't think they should be doing it. So that's what NASA should do, and when we get another breakthrough, we hand it off to industry once again, and the process repeats itself.
At this point, before we got into
Interesting.
Conspiracy 3,
So they do the research, and then they hand the research off to other companies to, like, make it better? I don't know what to think of that. Like, it's kind of smart, but it just sounds like you're like, hey, here's something that we can regulate internally that we then just, like, let people run with, Like, there's a lot of damage and harm that you can do with nuclear reactors. So it's like, if you come up with research for that and then you hand it off to a greedy billionaire who then decides they're going to try to make it into a weapon and sell it to other countries. I don't know. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but that just seems weird to me.
I decided to tell NASA what I thought they should do to combat conspiracies.
There's just this general distrust in the government, right? Like, people see the Epstein files, things like that. They're like, this is just crazy. The government must, not know what they're doing. They must be lying to us. I'm curious, how much of a priority is it for NASA to try and combat these conspiracies, right? Because to me, it's like, I walked in this room, obviously very honored to be here. I see like that on the TV. That's a live feed of the International Space Station right now.
Yes.
And I feel like if that was put on YouTube at all times, I mean, they're already not private because we can see them whenever they walk through there. If that feed was on YouTube, we'd have no more flat earthers, I think, in like a week, because you just can't have people floating around all day long, CGI constantly running. Maybe it's just no use. But I'm curious, does NASA even care about these conspiracies, or is it worth their time to try and do things to try and like
I'm curious how he answers
public
this, because I have my own idea.
Like, yes, this is real, and here's what we're doing, and here's where your tax dollars are actually going.
Well, I would say first, to me, there's no greater priority than undertaking and executing the mission. So putting more astronauts in space, returning to the moon, launching great telescopes. But what I also think is a responsibility along the way is inspiring the next generation of engineers, pioneers, astronauts to grow up and contribute to adventure. And that's why you put footage like that out on the internet. And it is, you can log in and like actually see what's going on in the International Space Station. You can listen to our audio loops on it. It's why when we build the moon base, I said, we're putting high definition cameras on everything, every lander, every rover. We're not leaving any doubt this time, okay? We are going to bring the world along for the ride. We're creating a moon base website so you can watch us build the moon base in real time. And I think that's less about combating conspiracies, and in my mind, more energizing and engaging the public so they grow up and do it better than we can.
Right, and I think that is the best answer, right? At the end of the day, the best way to combat conspiracies is it's like, okay, just wait, just watch.
This animation's so funny. I hope they didn't use AI. They probably used AI for this, huh?
Conspiracies is it's like, okay, just wait, just watch, because pretty soon there's gonna be a moon base and it will be.
Yeah, they definitely used AI for this. What does that even say? 6SSA, and the like text is bleeding into everything. I was gonna say, I was like, the fucking animation looks. God, dude, it's just like, just so dumb.
Be undeniable.
Okay, but Conspiracy 3.
I've heard you really.
Okay, so I just want to say he did not answer the question. Like he just started talking about, yeah, we're gonna put this out so like people can watch it and be inspired by it, which I don't know if he was trying to indirectly say this, but my take on this, and especially like doing YouTube full time, people, it doesn't matter how much evidence you have. It doesn't matter how much you sit there and you argue with them. If somebody doesn't want to believe something and they're not like having an open mind about it, right? Or a lot of the times that has to do with them being older, right? Like they're set in their values and in their views. I feel like maybe by the time you're like 25, 26, your brain just solidifies. Like, this is how I think and this is how I will operate. And no matter what, people just can't, I won't let people actively argue something because this is my belief set. I feel like it's like that. If they released that footage on YouTube as like a, hey, flat earthers, look, it's real, they would just comb that content to try to find things that fit their narrative. They would just like, oh, did you see like this little glitch here? Like, that means that they're streaming it through blah, 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 which means that this is fake and they're all recording it. And then like, if you look at this angle, the lighting does something weird, which means he's being hung up by like a thin wire. Like, you know, like you just can never win against those people. So it's always better to just ignore them. Like if you just, honestly, y'all, this is why people can't truly get canceled. Like James Charles, if y'all look at his TikTok, he's still fucking getting millions and millions of views. He is objectively a bad person, but he just ignores it, bro. He just ignores it. And like, eventually people just forget. And then like, people just don't care, you know? And you just gotta like, which sucks, by the way. I want to point that out. Like, if there's anyone who should be canceled, it's fucking James Charles. But, you know, it's just one of those things where you gotta like, it would be pointless for NASA to be like, oh, let's spend some time trying to change the flat earthers' minds, because the problem isn't that NASA has adequate evidence. The problem is that flat earthers are stupid. May we all have the confidence of a flat earther. No, for real.
And so we'll make it brief. But UFOs, UAPs, obviously the government.
Oh, I don't hate the topic, by the way.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I mean, isn't that like what you would imagine any new NASA administrator, like second day at least on the job, would be like, all right, where's the UFO files?
Yeah, where's the aliens?
So I don't hate the subject.
Fair enough. Well, then
That's so fair, bro. If you made me head of NASA today, I'd be like, where are the fucking aliens, bro? I need to know. I need to know.
Let's talk about it for a second. I think the government, they just released these UAP, UFO, files. I've been to Area 51 and all of that. I've investigated this stuff a little bit. When I first heard about UFOs, obviously I've always been a science enthusiast. I love space, all this stuff. I always was like, UFOs, this is total BS. Like this is not. I go to NASA all the time. I make videos there. Like, they're not focused on the UFOs, and the UFOs are very conveniently landing, near the naval, the military bases. You know what I mean, in Las Vegas and stuff. It's like, okay, this it feels like pretty obvious it's not aliens, but a lot of seemingly really credible people are saying that maybe this is actually, there's some merit to this. You're the head of NASA. What's going on?
Yeah. So first of all, I'd say I can't hate the subject. In fact, I'm incredibly fascinated about it, because that is at the heart of what we're trying to do at NASA, is answer the question, are we alone, right? We got telescopes that we're launching out there to try and answer that question. Yeah. We got samples on Mars right now. If we bring them back, there is a very high probability that they will point to, at some point, microbial life, at least on Mars. I think there's a very real possibility we're going to arrive at a conclusion in our lifetime that perhaps there's life everywhere out there, and that it isn't as infrequent as we might think it to possibly be. Now, all that said, when people think of like UFOs and flying saucers and crash ships and are there alien bodies buried somewhere, no, I have not seen any evidence of that whatsoever on it. I do think of things like
He's avoiding eye contact a lot while saying this, bro. Wait, can we go back?
Lifetime that perhaps there's life everywhere out there, and that it isn't as infrequent as we might think it to possibly be. Now, all that said, when people think of like UFOs and flying saucers and crash ships and are there alien bodies buried somewhere,
do you see this shit? He's looking nowhere. He's not looking at this dude.
No, I have not seen any evidence of that whatsoever on it. I do think of things like the cosmic speed limit is somewhat of a problem for being visited by, intelligent life, and at a time. I mean, you think about our civilization is extremely,
I would be so curious if like a body language expert did an analysis on that moment, because it doesn't feel very genuine. Did y'all see how he was moving? He was looking everywhere. When he said that there was no proof, he like rubbed his face. Like, I'm not saying that I'm a body language expert at all. I've seen TV shows, and I would hope that maybe, and I don't know, I could be so wrong about this, but I would hope that maybe TV shows do a good job at like doing the research on what are actual real body language cues. I feel like he's hitting all of them. He's not making eye contact. He's looking down, he's looking up, he's looking to the side. He's not looking at the dude, and then he's like rubbing his face. Listen, and here's the thing, y'all. This might be controversial. If there are aliens out there, I don't think it's great for us to know that. You know? Like, humans can't like, the average human probably couldn't handle that shit. Like, we can barely figure out how to operate together as a civilization and not elect a pedophile to run our country. What do you think would happen if we like had confirmed evidence that there were aliens, and not only that, they're here with us? Like, the one thing I'll agree on is like that would cause mass hysteria.
Young right now, that they could arrive at a time when we happen to be think about our
how's the audio chat
being visited by intelligent life, and at a time, I mean, you think about our civilization is extremely young right now, that they could arrive at a time when we happen to be here and doing all these things. So that said, though, I do think that we have captured imagery, and this is what President Trump is very forward-leaning about.
Is the audio synced though? Can you guys confirm that for me, please?
That based on the data that we have within that imagery, we don't know what it is.
Right.
And I don't think that should be that surprising anymore in a world, and I've said it, where you got doorbells with doorbell cameras on it. Everybody's got a phone. You've got with a camera on it. You've got all our military aircraft with tons of sensors on it. You've got satellites, lots of sensors. And what's going to happen is you're just going to capture things that if it was fully instrumented to get telemetry off of, you'd be like, oh, that's a drone. That's a missile. That's a balloon that got But because you didn't, and you caught it at a weird angle or reflected the sun at a certain point, you're like, that is an unexplained phenomenon. Yeah. And we did keep a lot of that buried in files for a long time. And the president said, why? Put it out there. Like, we don't have time to study it. Let other people tell us what it is. And you're seeing that effort, and you're going to continue to see it. I think there's going to be some really wild things. And I'll tell you, I'm open-minded to it. If it's is it maybe a Sputnik moment, and one of our adversaries pioneered a new capability in a world of AI and additive manufacturing?
Sputnik moment. Another country did something technologically advanced, and now the U.S. needs to catch up. Okay.
Possible you could have breakthroughs like that? Sure, we had the Sputnik moment for a reason, and NASA did very well, by the way, during that time period. Yeah. So I'm all about it, because you never know. Maybe we have a new Sputnik moment, and we've got to pioneer some new advanced technology or propulsion capability or something.
Yeah, I think as NASA's doing more launches, doing more missions in space, obviously people are so interested in the UFOs, the UAPs, what it is that they might find in space. I'm curious, would NASA ever consider, now that time and real estate in space, it's still very valuable and very expensive, but it's getting a little more reasonable, where, it's like someone could spend some money to have their payload put into space, right? Would NASA ever consider almost like a civilian driven mission? This was something that one skeptic kind of suggested. It was like, if some sort of future Artemis mission could be like, people could submit in a form, what do you want them to do? Because people want to see, can NASA do this? Because we really want to see if this is really real. Is that something that NASA would ever consider?
Well, I'll tell you, we try and do a lot of citizen science initiatives, and even almost kind of crowdsourcing ideas. We have done that in the past. I could absolutely see us doing that. I mean, if we're putting astronauts in and out of space with a frequency I would like to see, and you have lots more people living and working in space, and we should be soliciting ideas from the public on things they find of interest that we can add on as like a bonus objective to a mission. I'm all for that.
That's so interesting, just like sending anybody and everybody up to space. I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't love it though. I think they need to get more consistent, right? I don't know. I think if I had that option, unless I absolutely had to, or there was something like beneficial, I probably wouldn't do it, chat. Would you guys go to space? I'm curious, bro. Let's launch Ben into space. Please don't. I don't think so, man. I think that is not a good idea. Dragon said maybe. Katana said hell no. Luna, hell no. I don't know. Maybe if they proved to me that it was as safe as like flying a plane, right? Like you're more likely to get in a car accident than you are in like a plane crash. Like if they could get it to that level, maybe I would consider it. But like until we get to that point, I'm just like, why fucking risk it, bro? I would just for the view. I'll take Ben's place. I wouldn't go to space. I can barely handle Earth. I mean, the argument there is space isn't on the same bullshit as Earth, you know? I'd want to see the effects of low gravity on my injuries. Okay, that's fair. Streaming from space would be bad for business, terrible reception. Honestly, y'all, I feel like with how satellites are upgrading, like there will be Wi-Fi on the moon when they start putting people like on it. You know? I have no doubt in my mind, man. Interesting. Hold on, let's just wrap up the video. Oh, that was it, I think. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's not even the full interview. Oh, wait, yeah. Not a single flat earther talked to him in this video. Oh my God, that's so true. This title is clickbait. I mean, it was still a good video. I would say bro's glazing Elon's company too much and the president. I'm guessing even if he hated them, he would have to glaze them anyways because that's his job. Not only he's the head of NASA, but also the ear of NASA. That's crazy. Oh, man. Interesting. Got scammed. Wow, no, we kind of did, low-key. Wrap up on the video. I think it was kind of disingenuous that there were actually no flat earthers that talked to him. I would have loved to hear that debate. I think, and I honestly, y'all, if I'm being real, most of the video was not about flat earthers. Was it still an interesting video? Yeah. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I think space is very interesting. Like, I think we should be exploring that, you know? To not explore it would be a waste. I just think, like, I almost don't want to see the US win again just because, like, I feel like the US likes to do things and then brag about them that we're the best country ever, and that's just the biggest horse shit in the world. Like, it's similar to how I felt when the US won the Olympics for hockey. Like, it just felt so disingenuous how people were like, oh, we won hockey, we're the best country in the world. It's like, bro, we don't have fucking healthcare. Best country in the world, and people are still dying, and we're sending all of our money to Israel. It is a really hard time to have, because, like, I think if this was 30 years ago, having that passion makes sense, right? To be like, yeah, I want America to, like, you know, similar to a sports thing. I want America to win. That'd be cool. But now it's just hard. Like, I think you do have to be a little brain dead to be like, America's amazing and we're going to win this thing and that's going to make us more amazing. It's like, bro, look around you. Look around you, dog. We got a pedophile in office who is further and further creating dissent inside the country. But that being said, if we can disassociate from that, it is really cool, the leaps and bounds that they're making. I didn't even realize they were trying to, like, put, like, buildings and stuff on the moon. I think that's really cool.